thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it. The American Kidney Fund and Patient Services Incorporated appreciate your support in joining us today. For those who don't know me, I'm James Romano, the Director of Government Relations for Patient Services Incorporated. We're here to, obviously today, to talk about patient assistance and the very, very important issue of premium assistance for those with rare diseases and chronic illnesses, and making sure that they have access to their treatments and therapies. Today you'll learn about the models of patient assistance and some of the threats that have been attacking those patient assistance models. And I can assure you that all of our groups want to make sure that our patients have access to the needed treatments and therapies to live as normal lives as they can. So I'm just going to be your MC today. We have a great panel of speakers, and I'm very pleased to talk about with our first speaker. Been around here for about 20 years. I've met a lot of members in Congress, and I think that if I took a poll, Congressman Kevin Cramer is one of the nicest people I've ever, members of Congress I've ever met. I think that's the important thing. One of the nicest human beings I've ever met, and then one of the nicest members of Congress. If you haven't experienced that, I urge you to. He's very candid, which is awesome, and kind, so I'm very excited. So Congressman Kevin Cramer serves the people of North Dakota as their at-large member of Congress. He began his career as a social worker, and has spent many years in state government. And since his election in 2012, Congressman Cramer has served the healthcare needs of those in North Dakota and the United States. He was just recently placed on the Energy and Commerce Committee, and is the founding chair of the Congressional Kids Safety Caucus. I have 3 daughters, and I know a lot of you have children, so that's wonderful that there's a caucus that deals with those issues. Today, the Congressman is with us because of his leadership in introducing H.R. 3742, the Access to Marketplace Insurance Act. And it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Congressman Cramer and thank him from PSI, for the American Kidney Fund, and for all of you on his leadership on this important issue. So let's give him a round of applause.
Wow. My mommy would even be proud of that. Very nice. Yes. One thing I've learned is that you're more effective being nice when you're candid. I know a lot of candid politicians, and some of them are really mean. But it's okay. It's okay to be nice around here. And I want to say thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here. And as we were visiting a little bit ago, the business of making sausage or legislation is way more difficult than it maybe ought to be, especially good legislation. And you know that this is good legislation because Sheila Jackson Lee and I are both on the bill, and when that happens, that means that it's got to be good, that we can agree on something that's fundamental as the goals of this bill. But I want to say thank you for a couple things. One, first of all, thank you for approaching me and giving me the opportunity to carry this ball. This isn't something I thought of. I should have. I wish I could have. I would, but my observation in this town, and frankly in public life in general, has been that most of the really good ideas don't come from the professional, legislator. They come from real people, and that's what we work for. That's why I love the People's House. That's why I have more town halls than any other member of Congress, because I don't want to rob myself of the best idea out there. And if you're not talking to people, that might happen. So when you have real people, real caregivers, real service providers, real patients telling their real stories, that's where real solutions can come from. The issue of the day. In fact, when it was brought to me, you just sort of scratch your head, going, "Really? This happens? Really? There's a rule out there that prevents charity from being charitable." It seems like a perverse thing, and to be honest, I'm one that chooses to believe that this was a mistake, right? That there's no evil intent at CMS or in the administration. I do understand that the Affordable Care Act is and it continues to be a very partisan issue. That I get, I understand. There are very real and very sharp differences of opinion about the Affordable Care Act and the process. But the goals are pretty hard to argue. The goal of pre-existing conditions being covered, the goal of broader coverage, the goal of a safety net that helps people that are, find themselves in an unfortunate situation, those are noble goals. So once we can all accept the goal, and we can argue about various aspects of the Affordable Care Act, it's very confusing when a rule is made that really violates the very noble goal that we all agree on. And that is robs charity of the opportunity to help people with very serious conditions remain on their plan or get a plan by helping them with whether it's premiums or deductibles, co-pays, things like that. It's such a violation of common sense and of goodwill. But I kind of understand politically that maybe they see any change, that some people would see any change to the Affordable Care Act as an assault on the whole act. That's why what we're doing here is, I use Sheila as the example because she's such a wonderful example. She embodies activism at its very best. In fact, it's so funny, I was thinking about just my first couple of years. I wonder if anybody's had more amendments on the floor than Sheila Jackson. You talk about a person of passion and conviction and boy, activism, she is it, man. And so I use her a lot as an example of someone that goes to the wall for things that matter. So the fact that we have this broad coalition beginning and now more and more support building is very encouraging to me. Now the fact that 35 states have allowed this prohibition to take place, that me. I get why the industry, why the insurance industry, from a profit motive standpoint, would just as soon see people with catastrophic illnesses thrown off of their insurance. I guess I understand it from a purely greed standpoint, but that's the only standpoint I can understand why it would be relevant. So we want to block that. We want to remove every opportunity for that to happen. But you guys, I want to spend a minute or two on what really motivates me on this topic. And I alluded to it earlier, and that is to allow charity to be charitable. When we allow government to replace charity, we allow bureaucracy to replace compassion. And it's not that, and when I say that, I don't mean that there are like uncompassionate people in government or in the bureaucracy. I just mean that as a matter of mission, it's different, right? It's different. If your church or synagogue or your charity has a safety net program to help people, there's a motivation there that's different than just the job. And government will never be able to replace charity. And we have to do everything, in my view, everything we can. I'm a member of we call it the what was it, benevolence caucus or something like that deals with charity, the philanthropy caucus. I do a lot on the tax code on charitable, like charitable IRA rollover. Anything we can do to encourage charity. In fact, if there was only one deduction in the entire tax code, it has to be charity, because charity naturally replaces government. And I want that to be the case because I trust the motives of charity more than government. Not the people. Don't get me wrong. It's not the people. It's just the system. It's the bureaucracy itself that just lacks that human touch. So I just want to say thank you for letting me carry the ball. It really is. It's a privilege for me. But I also want to say, I want to reiterate how important it is you're here. A lot goes on in this place. I mean, it doesn't take long, right, to see that a lot happens around here. A lot of people running around. Everybody that's in these halls and buildings right now, I don't know if you notice, a lot of them are in lab coats. I don't know. Did you stop to talk to them? Maybe give a lecture. I don't know. But there's a bunch. I think they're students. I think they're medical students. There's always a lot of activity, a lot of priorities, and sort of minute by minute those priorities change. And then every now and then something really big, like like happened in Paris happens, and everybody pauses, and suddenly there are more policemen and dogs around it. My point being that it's a very fluid, fast-paced place, and we every now and then need you to come and remind us that we know you have a lot of priorities, but this is ours. Okay, this is our priority. So it helps me. There's two things you can do for people that represent you. One, hold us accountable, and then two, have our backs. Do you know what I mean? We need to both be held accountable, and we need to be encouraged. And that's what makes the People's House the People's House. So with that, just thanks for letting me be part of your lives, and let's hope for success. And I'm optimistic. I really am. Thank you.
Thank you.